And welcome to Witch Hat Chats. Come on in and sit for a spell. Sponsored by Evermoving We Rise, Moonlight Potions and Charms, and Saul Ravencraft, the Wizard for Hire. I am Miss Nikki Kirby, your goddess host, and we have returned the mystery co-host who has been gone for so long. You know what? I'm not even sure what his name is anymore. I think he's a sponsor. What's his name?
You're so mean. You are so mean.
Saul Ravencraft. Oh, he's here.
Man.
And he has a beard.
Yes. Oh. Yes. Still had the beard.
How you doing, Saul?
I'm good. It's good to be back. Good to slip into the rhythm of things again. It's been a hell of a ride. But some projects are big projects, and you got to do the things.
Yeah, so you were a pirate in Sherwood Forest. Now, how the hell did that come up?
Well, so I actually had 3 different things that I was doing. I had 7 shows per day with a change in between each one. So basically, starting with the 11 o'clock show, it was just go, 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 go until the end of the day, which was pretty interesting. It was not nearly as social as some of the previous years had been. And the pirate thing was a little unexpected. There was an act that was not able to be there because of some serious health concerns. And they had to focus on their healing there, and that left a couple of spots open on the stage. So Merlin put forward a proposal that we would do a sing-along, and we just randomly selected that Merlin would stay Merlin, and I would do a pirate character, because pirates are a thing at Renaissance festivals, and kind of innocuous. It wouldn't really require us to do a lot of in-depth writing or creation. I was able to put my pirate outfit together with things I just had laying around the house. So I guess that says something about me. And we did some songs and had people singing along, and it was a lot of fun. Then next I was the man behind the owl, Archimedes, in the Merlin show, which I've done for several years, and I write and direct that show. And then I had my own show, the occult show, which happened over on the Horseman stage. So 3 very different versions of what I'm doing. And then there was about a 30-minute break, and then had to get ready for Merlin, then Pirate, then Merlin, then another 30-minute break, and my spirit show at 6. So lots of different energies, a lot of focus going on. I held that energy for 3 months or 2 months solid, sort of working into it in the first month, but held it for 2 months, and then finally was done, and I released that energy, and I was immediately tired and achy and stupid. I was fortunate in that I was in a position to take about a week to recover. But even with Sherwood going on, I had several other events that came up. We had talked about the bachelorette party that was coming up, which ended up being an amazing experience. They were all in on going down the rabbit hole. very genuinely interested in that experience. And then they all got personal readings afterwards. So that ended up being a wonderful event. But then it was an hour in the wrong direction from Sherwood. And so I finished, got packed up, drove 2 hours to get back to Merlin's trailer park, and got to bed about 2:30 in the morning for a 7 o'clock wake up call. Woohoo! And there were 2 or 3 other gigs that popped up in between when I thought I was just going to be doing laundry and resetting. So it was a fairly busy couple of months. And it was funny because initially I got a little irritated because I'm being run a little ragged. I'm driving different places and doing all that. And I'm thinking, man, this is kind of rough. And then I went, well, this is sort of what you asked for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You said you wanted to manifest all this kind of stuff, and it's happening. So shut up and be grateful. And I was. But now that Sherwood energy has been released, I'm starting over a little bit. Not completely. I've got a few things going on with Nature's Treasures over the next couple of months, but I lost some of my momentum in having to turn everything to this other activity, and so gotta rebuild. That's the nature of the kind of stuff that we do. Is after any kind of a break, no one's filling that stuff in for you. You gotta keep it going. So it was a rewarding experience, and in particular my personal shows were very rewarding. I collected several email addresses and made stronger connections with people who had encountered me before. There were some really important things that happened during both the styles of shows. In particular, there's one piece that I do that's a kind of a grounding ritual, and there's some theatricality to it. We bend a spoon as part of this, but we pass a river stone around and let people put stuff into it. And then someone comes up and channels that energy that people put into the stone as they let things go. And we see a spoon bend visibly as a reaction to what's going on. And it's metaphor, right? It's theater. And yet there's stuff that goes on there. And I had several people that had something significant happen to them. They were able to let go of something. One person had a very profound experience with that. And he told me he cried about 30 minutes after the program as he was just letting that stuff go that needed to go. And that's pretty cool. I'm always, I figured out, I was trying to explain to someone what I'm doing because they were very black and white about things. And that in the theater that I do, it gives people permission to do their own magic.
Mm-hmm.
It takes them into that place of storytelling and context where real stuff happens. And sometimes I get to experience part of it, which is always nice. Sometimes I don't, and it just happens, and I may get to witness it. But I think it's important. I think it's really important what I'm doing there. And I had people tell me so. I had people explicitly tell me that what I was doing was very important to them, and they would be upset if they didn't have access to it. So that makes me feel good, because as you can imagine, as an artist, I have doubts every day about whether I'm doing anything that matters. And it was nice to get some of that reinforcement and have some of that experience out in the middle of the crazy festival. Just a wonderful thing. Yeah, I'm glad I did it. It'll come up again, but get a long break, and now Got to make all the other things go. Now, I saw what you were doing with the interviews. I thought you did fantastic interviews on without me butting into things. You did just fine in having some of those conversations. I really enjoyed those. So
Thank you.
good on you. You know what you're doing.
Of course, I always know what I'm doing.
That must be nice. That must be nice.
Well, you know what they say, you act like you know what you're doing, even if you don't know what you're doing, right? You're making it up as you're going along.
Well,
Anyway.
right. Although I tell you, I've hit a point now where I feel more comfortable with being more open about that reality. Because I recognized that a lot of people I knew had their game face on, and they looked a lot more collected and successful, easily successful than they actually were. And I believed that. I thought they just had it all figured out and there was just something wrong with me. And I realized that they're not necessarily doing it any better than I am. They've just figured out how to radiate that. And then when I realized that, I thought, I bet there's a lot of people looking at me that think I've got everything figured out and think that it's just so easy and that there's something wrong with them. And
Well,
I realized I should open the kimono a little bit and let people see the scars.
I think the thing about it is you should go more on your instincts and trust yourself a little bit more than what you give yourself credit. That's the thing about it.
That's fair.
And when you do that, because see, Saul, when you do that, you fly beautifully. And you don't trust yourself enough.
That's
So,
probably fair.
You want to hear what the divination is for today?
I always do.
All right. So our tea divination is for today comes from an actor by the name of Nick Malley. Does everybody know who Nick Malley is?
I am not familiar.
You're not familiar with him. Okay. Nick Malley is the guy who does the puppet for Yoda. And he looks just like you, Saul. I mean, exactly like you. When I looked him up, he looked I was like, damn, that's Saul.
Nice.
We ought to put this picture up and you're up and just look. You're like, damn, that's Saul. Anyway, Nick Malley said, and I quote, "You can't live an exceptional life by being normal," unquote. There you go.
Sure. It reminds me of a quote. There's a wonderful book called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
That's a good movie too.
Yeah, but the book is just glorious. The wonderful thing about the book is it's got all these footnotes in it. And it's written in a very Dickensian style. And it has these footnotes that tell you all these things about the history of the Raven King and the history of magic and all of that kind of thing. And it's done in a way that is completely believable. But none of that information is real. It's all part of the universe that she created. And so she takes you very, very deeply into this universe. But Jonathan Strange is out in the field in the Napoleonic Wars, and he's working for Lord, it's not Lord Nelson, some other lord. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But Jonathan Strange is making requests, and this lord says, I suppose one ought not to hire a magician, or one ought not employ a magician and expect him to behave like normal people. And that's a beautiful quote. It's a beautiful idea. And it's true that when we when we switch off the main path, we make some choices. The first thing we do is we become responsible. I've had this conversation with several people over the last couple of months. There are certain spiritual paths that have this glorious exit strategy for responsibilities. There is some being that has taken all that on for you. And so you just worship and obey, and you're not responsible for what you do. That's taken care of. You're sorry and try not to do it again. Right. But when you take a path like we have chosen, you don't get to escape responsibility. You become aware of the impact that you make on things. You know that your choices have an effect, and you can't avoid it. You don't get to decide, well, I'm just not going to make any choices. I'm just not going to do anything, right? You have to make these choices and do these things regardless of their impact. You try to be responsible for the impact, have the least impact you can, make reparations where possible, but you're no longer blissfully ignorant of how you affect the world and how you affect people. And you can't avoid it. You just cannot avoid it. You just have to own that shit. And it's a scary thing for some people to do that, because they don't consider themselves to be a part of nature. They see themselves as above nature, and so therefore they shouldn't be participating like everything else. But if you look at nature, everything has some sort of a cost. Everything has some kind of an effect. There's the prey and the predators, even plants. You know, something will start to grow and it'll take over an area, and the things that were growing there and thriving there have to either move over or die. And
like that.
Right. If they can. Sometimes they can't. And that is just what it's like to be part of nature. You can't do anything without impact. You can't do anything that doesn't have perhaps unintended consequences. And tough. you gotta do things anyway. And hopefully you are doing things in a way where your awareness excuse me, where your awareness is helping to guide you to do things in the most harmonious way, or that you are working to bring that harmony back after you stomp around a little bit. But you can't avoid it. Can't avoid it. And that just makes everything more complicated. It makes everything more impactful, right? You just, nothing's easy once you get to that. And yet there's so many other wonderful things that come with it, because you're not beholden. And you don't have to have permission. So if you're willing to take it on, it's a wonderful thing. But my goodness gracious, you gotta build up your strength, and your will and your self-reliance, for all of that. I think the whole world is trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah, it seems like it. Seems like the whole world is trying to figure out what the hell it's doing right now. Oh, Lordy.
Well, and we're running into some pretty tangible things. I think for a while people have been doing things with the idea that their actions and their attitudes and their communication had no effect. It just didn't matter. You just say stuff and it doesn't matter. Um, and I think now we're finally able to see the reverberations of all that hateful rhetoric and attitude going out. That shooting that killed 8 and injured 7 at the outlet mall in Allen is 2 miles from my parents' house.
Mm.
I've shopped at that outlet mall. So have they. That was really, really close to home. And there's we're seeing now with all of the hyper violence that seems to be going on right now, we're seeing the results of some people's attitude and actions. It's finally vibrated out enough that it's having a tremendous impact on things. And I don't know how we back out of it. I think what happens is enough of us feed love back into the picture and it dampens that other vibration, but it's not going to happen by Thursday. There's a lot that's going to happen there, and it sucks, and I wish more people understood the impact of their personal impact on everything. I really do.
Yes. And with that, we need to go to a commercial and listen to our wonderful sponsors. And we will be right back with Witch Chat Chats. Anybody can tell you what is on a tarot or oracle card. What matters is seeing beyond what others may not be able to see and help the client to uncover what lies in the mist. What do readings from Moonlight Potions and Charms do? Wednesday, I did this ancestor reading, and it was an amazing reading. And it was a detailed reading. And I remember talking to this customer's ancestors, and it was so delightful. And he wanted some questions to be answered about the magic in his family because he didn't know. And his family was mostly like most of our families are. You know how everything is like hush hush when it comes to the magic in his family. And he wanted to know who can he actually talk to about the history of the magic in his family. And I was able to give him specifically who he can go to talk to about that. What particular deity he can actually go to be able to help him with this. And it was just an amazing reading, and talking to his ancestors, they were such a delight, and they told me so much about this customer. It was just an absolutely wonderful reading for him, and I was just so happy to be able to give him this wonderful reading. It's really amazing to be able to give people these readings, these products that's really going to help them, and be able to give back to the community, because this is what Moonlight Potions and Charms is about. We want to help you to embrace the power of your own magic. That is what we are all about. It's to help you to do that. Book now and allow our wonderful staff to take care of your spiritual reading needs. And there is so much more in our Wicked store to help you to embrace the power of your own magic. So come on in to Moonlight Potions and Charms at www.moonlightpotionscharms.com and discover the wicked things that ignite the magical passion in you.
I'm Saul Ravencraft, co-host of Witch Hat Chats. I understand just how confusing and chaotic it can be to open to a path of magic and manifestation. Everything seems to turn on its head. I want to be an ally as you find the way upon your path. My studio setup will let us do readings, coaching, and exploration virtually, just as though you were sitting across the table from me. One size does not fit all, and we will work together to craft the right approaches to build your practice, your confidence, and your power using the tools of divination, magical works, and spirit connections. It's never too late to embrace a new path and emerge empowered. Go to texasmojoman.com and select Contact to begin. There's a message now. Let's get started working on your very good fortune.
Have you wondered what spirituality is? Spirituality is limitless, as it does not contain any boundaries on beliefs or practices. Spirituality's most important component is personal experience and allows one to explore it freely. Evermoving We Rise is a spiritual moving tradition, as our name is our lifestyle, because we are persistently rising and moving forward. We realize that everyone's spiritual journey is extremely personal, but more easily traveled with reinforcement. We'll teach you to become friends with your shadow, emerge your authentic self, and give you time and space to develop your own spirituality. And when situations bump back, you'll have the entire community behind you, as we are a magical family who work to sustain each other. Discover the benefits of working within a society dedicated to helping you grow on your personal path. Visit us on our website, Linktree, or Facebook page and discover why we don't fit in the box.
And welcome back to Witch Hat Chats. I am Saul Ravencraft, the prodigal Saul Ravencraft, returned here with Miss Nikki Kirby, back here on Witch Hat Chats. It's been a little while, and it's nice to be back. It's nice to be
Yes.
back in this energy.
I think everybody missed you.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. It was still reachable, but just not here.
All right. So, Saul, you know, a lot of people don't understand or know what qualities you have as who you are, as Saul, the wizard for hire. So, so if I were to hire, what would I be hiring you for?
Well, so that's always been one of my challenges, is being able to package that up. In the past, I had some very distinct skills. This is what my job was. And then when I went down the rabbit hole, some of that changed quite a bit, because it turns out I never was just one thing. None of us are. And I had to figure out how to embrace that. So I am a storyteller. I am a theater person. I am a writer. I love to create and engage in the fantastic. The root word for fantastic is fantasy. It's about digging into those ideas of what could be, what's possible, and how to manifest that in some And so all of that rolled forward. In the past, I just did it for funsies. None of it mattered. But now I use it as a way to express my understandings and my truths. So if you see my occult show at Sherwood, um, and an expanded version of that is my Down the Rabbit Hole show, which where I bring out the artifacts and we do some interactive stuff and all of that. Uh, it's a show, it's theater, right? But it's also based on things that matter to me. And the message behind the show is the world is much more magical than we give it credit for, and that we are too. And we have the ability to be at the center of our own power. We don't have to ask permission to have a good life. We don't have to go through a gateway where someone allows us to manifest things. This is something that is given to us. It's part of being human, but we have to grab it. We got to do something about it. We got to be responsible for that. And the way I think about it is my theater gives people permission to work their own magic, because I've had a lot of situations where in my metaphor of performance, someone has connected with something and they've done their own shadow work. They've done their own understanding that, oh, I can do this. I don't have to wait for someone else to do this for me. And they do. And they give me credit for that. And I go, no. I was just in the right place at the right time. You did it. And that's the whole point, is you do this stuff. But my theater is really designed to get people's heads in that space and get them open to things. And of course, since I'm doing that, stuff does happen. I make connections with people that go deeper than I intended to. And things are revealed to me that I didn't expect to be, and we deal with all that in context. So it's a theatrical gateway into that magical threshold. And I can crank the woo up and down a little bit. Sometimes it feels more like a mind reading show, but it's still got some of those elements in there. Other times I'll bring some of my weird artifacts like the shrunken head and the hand of glory and the exorcism kit, and have those on display and invite people to ask about them. But the doll is always there. Doll is always there because it's good for her to be there. People ask about the doll. They can't. So that's the theatrical side of what I do. And within that, I do all kinds of things that are related to the technology and the production of shows and events. So I do media. I'm doing it now. I do one of the things I'm working on right now is I did lighting design for a show that was written in 1944 during the Holocaust, and has been resurrected. It was never performed in its day because the people that were going to perform it got shipped off to the concentration camps. There was only one survivor. And she, in the early 60s, 1961, I think it was, collaborated with someone to recreate this play based on her memory of it. And then she's capped it on either side with the realities of those people putting that on. And so it's a play within a play. But I got called upon because their lighting person went away and they were stuck, and I designed and executed lighting for that show in 2 days, and got them to opening night. So that show runs through the 21st, And the production is so Jewish that one of the actors' name is Moses. So it's very cool to be invited into that space and to help share that important story with people. Um, I do writing and directing of things for people, and not all of it is spooky. I mean, I like to center myself in the spooky place because that's my happy place, as weird as that may sound. Um, but off to the side of that, there's the spiritual aspect of what I do, um, which is hinted at in my theater, but it's not exactly. Well, I guess during the spirit messages, it kind of becomes that. But people have plausible deniability. They can decide that I'm really doing spirit messaging, which I am, or they can decide that it's just some other kind of thing going on, and blow it off. But I do have several people that come to me for divination, that come to me for advice on doing workings, and and uh, and just how to work with their shadow work, and how to figure out what to do with what they've got. Uh, and I'm I'm blessed in that I've been curious about a lot of different modes. So I know things about Wicca. I grew up in Christianity. I know things about various magical practices. I know a little bit about what a root worker does. Although, I stay a little back from that because some of that is a closed practice. But I understand some of it well enough to have a conversation with someone. And so I feel like I'm very good at dealing with people where they are. So if they need to do something, I don't say, okay, well, here's the way I do it. We try and figure out what's going to work for them using the techniques that they are comfortable with. And I suggest and put into work. And I feel like I've had a very positive impact on a lot of people by making them realize that it's about them, it's about their own power, that no one can stop them once they decide to take it on and be responsible. And it's terrible for business because obviously the best way is you make people dependent on you. Right? They got to keep coming back to you for that. And I have a tendency to set people free. Yeah, I help them do the work, and then you go. So I don't necessarily have some of the cult following that some people might. I'd probably make more money if I was better at that, but I can't do it. I love when somebody rises into that. It's just so much fun to watch them fly.
So basically, this is what I heard. You help people to create a magical space and to grow in it.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
You do.
But I do it in a lot of different ways. And I try to do it in a way that's not grim. I try to do it in a way that is not foreboding. I am not the
But
master
you do
wizard.
it in their way.
I try to meet them somewhere.
Yeah.
And because that's where the most power is.
Yeah.
Is finding your own center, finding what you connect with, and doing that. And you may be inspired by me. I may answer questions. I may tell you how I approach things. But ultimately, if you don't embrace it, it's not going to stick. It's not going to last. And so it's important to me that you are in your own power so that you can, because ultimately it's all going to be up to you.
Yeah. So next time, just say what I said, and I'll be a lot quicker. Okay.
Well, I wanted to give some background on that, and that's a challenge because for the people that are interested in me theatrically, I don't want to blow that off because I love what I do in that space. But
That's when you get them to ask questions, Saul. You don't sit there and it's not like it's like telling a plot to a movie. You don't want to give them the whole thing at one time, honey. You want them to ask questions. You want them to ask, hey, who is the main star of this? Oh, great. It's Luke Skywalker. Awesome. What is he doing? Oh, he's trying to become a Jedi. Awesome. Okay. How is he going to be doing that? Oh, he meets this Han Solo and he gets on a starship. Awesome. They're trying to rescue a princess. Nice. Blah, 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 blah. You don't sit there and say, oh, they go and blow up the Death Star. Bye-bye. You don't no, give them the whole thing, honey. You want them to start asking and asking and asking more questions. You want them to devolve into it. That's how you get them to come back, sweetie.
I fail, but hopefully I do it in a somewhat amusing way.
Yes.
But I think the way that I've really come to understand it, especially after the Sherwood run, is what I do is I do theater that helps people to work their own magic. That gives people permission to work their own magic.
Bingo.
And
There you go.
I also work with the spiritual side of things for people that want to go deeper.
And I can scare the shit out of you. Awesome. Now, I like that part. That part's always the funnest part to do.
Now now when I look at the things that you do, it feels to me like there's a lot going on there. So how do you take all that you do and encapsulate it in that one little phrase, that one little perfect phrase?
Simple. I'm a bridge maker.
Okay.
I'm a bridge maker. No matter whether you are a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, my products morph to you. All my products can be used by you for your purposes.
Nice.
Period. All my services are morphed to you. They're designed to you. They're the ones that give you permission to be able to embrace the power of your own magic. Now, they do that depending on the product. And I can show you how they do that because as your guide, I can be able to do that. Not a problem.
Lovely.
Now, that took me, what, a minute?
Well, maybe someday I will be better. I continue to try.
So come with me and I will start showing you a product. And we'll start having some conversation. But then again, Saul, I ask a lot of questions. I'm not the first one to start telling them what I do. I ask a lot of questions. You got to start asking questions, Saul. Go up to them, say, hey, good day. How are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. Start asking questions. That's how you start a conversation. Tell them, hey, I love your shoes. Oh, hey, I love that necklace that you have. Oh, I love your hat. Where did you get that hat? Did you design it yourself? Did you put that thing on your hat? Or that flower on your hat? Or the button on your hat? And even if you don't like the hat, ask where they got the hat so that way you know where not to go. Even if you don't like the shirt, hey, where did you get that shirt? That way you know where not to go.
Well, I've always been a little awkward.
That's the reason why you ask questions. Always ask questions. You always answer their question very, very quickly. You turn it right back into a question. And practice that. It's easy.
All right.
Once you start practicing that, you'll get better at. You'll get better at. Trust me, I was very awkward too. There was one time you couldn't get me to talk. I'm serious. There was one time you could not get me to talk. I would not speak to you at all. Especially when I was like in high school, unless you pissed me off. Then you got my attention, but you didn't want my attention then. I was always the quiet one in the room. And when I'm around a bunch of new people, I'm usually the quiet one until I figure out my way in. And then I start talking.
Lots of room for growth.
But like I said, once you figure out your way in, just figure out somebody and just start talking to them. Hey, what's the worst thing that can happen? You embarrass yourself a little bit? Are you ever going to see them again? Probably not. And if you do, who cares? Who cares what they think? I don't. And do you really? Probably not. I mean, even if you work with them again in the theater, it's a one-time thing, big deal. If they're going to be that much of a jackass, they're going to be a jackass either way. So it doesn't matter whether you embarrass yourself or not, they're going to be that way. So take it like a lump of coal and keep going. No big deal. You just keep moving. Because life is too short to hang on to all of this crap about, oh, I tripped and I fell in front of Johnny Cash or whatever his damn name is. Who cares? Yeah, they laughed at you, big damn deal. Whoopie-doo. Who cares? That's just something that you have to face up in your shadow work. Which, by the way, people who don't do their shadow work, oh God, which by the way, you need to drink. People who don't do their shadow work, number one, are not people who really want to do magic. Because you've got to be able to organize yourself and you've got to be able to start taking responsibility and you've got to know yourself. And if you want to do magic and you want to do it properly and you want to be able to take the responsibility that you have to be able to take, you have to do your goddamn shadow work. And if this entire country would have started to do the damn shadow work in the first place, we wouldn't be here. But no, we are not taught how to do our damn shadow work. Instead, we're taught to blame it on everybody else, all of our faults on everybody else, and not take our own damn responsibility. We're taught to devalue everyone else instead of valuing ourselves and then valuing other people and then valuing our community. That's what we're taught. So we need to value each other. We need to value ourselves. Hell, if we valued ourselves first, we would have the self-confidence to be able to value each other and then value our community. And then we wouldn't have to go out and shoot each other. Jesus. It's like that one guy that went and shot his neighbor because his neighbor says, please stop shooting so I can get my baby to sleep. What the hell? What the hell's wrong with you? Jesus. Or the kid in North Carolina who had to run because the ball was rolling into a neighbor's yard. And this guy comes out and just starts shooting. Oh my God. What the hell? Fucking damn people. Okay, so well, that tells you where my mind went to. Do your goddamn shadow work. And that's all for our show today.
Sounds like this episode has homework.
Right. So join us next time when Saul and I will be chatting with David Sheet. Embrace your power, support your community, and keep your fuzzy babies, your family, friends, and yourself safe, and have an absolute magical week.
I know some people who like to chat. I think they're witches, how about that? And every Sunday at 12 o'clock. And if you're hurting, they're willing to talk. Nikki, Kirby with that black stone. I agree, Evermoving We Rise. Life and soul will the beautiful mind. I give you blessings under moonlight. I know some people who like to chat. I think they're witches, how about that? And every Sunday at 12 o'clock. And if you're hurting, they're willing to talk.